On Disney's 2016 film Zootopia, um, a film that I believe is very underrated in terms of where it ranks amongst other Disney movies. I believe it is underrated because a lot of the themes and topics it subconsciously covers, a lot of these themes and things aren't necessarily things that society is comfortable to talk about as of yet. Um, Themes like diversity, oppression, things of that nature, I feel like it makes the story develop a little slower, but I do believe it's worth the wait, and I believe the plot twist really brings everything together. The story does take a little while to develop, especially for an animated children's film, but the reasoning behind that is what makes this movie what it is. I believe the main theme of the movie from the outset is really that you can't judge a book by its cover. You know, um, Sometimes society labels people upon first inspection when they see them and what they look like, or whatever the case may be. And in doing so, they oppress them in a way. They expect lesser, so then they end up giving lesser. So, for example, just to get into it without giving away too much of the movie, the main character, Judy Hopps, she is a rabbit, and they're classified as prey. So, prey are known to do specific things and specific jobs, and she kind of steps out of that. She wants to be her own person, do her own thing, and become a police officer. In doing so, she faces a lot of backlash, a lot of foul treatment from her peers, and even when she makes it through the academy and becomes that police officer, she's still looked down upon by her higher up, and he subjects her to doing less than her peers as if she's capable of less. You know, she wasn't capable of lesser, and thankfully she was able to showcase that throughout the remainder of the film. But this was definitely an instance of a system of privilege, not for her, but for her peers who were other officers. They didn't have that same scope on them. From the moment they had their job, they weren't expected to be lesser. I think it even got to a point where her higher up gave her 48 hours to solve the case that ended up becoming the main plot in the movie. But she had done nothing wrong to even be under that 48-hour time period where she had the chance to lose her job. And then developing alongside this was the other main character, Nick Wilde, who was a fox, a predator, and from the get go, like he fits into the stereotype that you would think they would put upon him in this sense. So he was like a petty thief, and this is when they come together, is when they really both start to break out of their shell and become the characters they are at the end of the movie. Um, just working alongside each other, So in the beginning, Judy kind of swindles him into helping her out, which you wouldn't expect of Prey. She blackmails him and forces his hand, and it's a fox, so he kind of has leverage over her, but he steps into that role and helps her, and it turns out that he wanted to be a police officer previously to that and throughout the duration of his life, but he was labeled by others growing up, thought to be villainous. And like I said, that's really what this film is about, just society and the labels they give people versus what those people actually are. Um, I do think it's worth a watch. I think it's necessary to watch. I think you have to look at it from a deeper meaning perspective and forget about the fact that it's an animated film or a children's film because it really does have a lot of good messages. These include things like diversity. Diversity is a huge part of this film. There are a ton of different animals in the movie, and they all play a role in bringing the plot together and making the movie what it is. Um, Bias, just like I spoke about before, Judy faced a lot of bias against her in the workplace and her capability to complete her job. And then stereotyping, I feel like it's the biggest theme in the movie. Just judging a book by its cover prematurely before you know who they are and the true content of the character.